Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We have another exciting episode here today with Candice. As we fully transition over to the year of the rabbit slash cat, we are going to take a little spin today. We're going to talk about the animal signs for 2023. So we have Candice here today, again, Feng Shui practitioner. She's going to go over all the different animal signs and things for us to look out for the year. So welcome, Candice.
Hi, thanks so much for having me back on. I'm excited to share what the zodiac signs will, can look forward to for the new year. What kind of energy is coming up?
You did this presentation a couple weeks ago, and I thought was really interesting. And so I want to bring you back on here and share with everyone about their animal signs and the different energies that are coming in as we are entering this new cycle. And many of us may already feel it. There's like this huge transition point as things are ending with the tiger, and we are entering the year of the rabbit. And if you're Asian, or for my Asian family, we do this ceremony where we put offerings for the ancestors and also a day for offerings for the animals as they transition. So I thought it's very interesting how it all correlates. Now actually learning about it. So I'm excited to hear what you have again for everyone here today, Candice. So you want to take the show?
Yes, there's a lot of information, so let's dive right into it. Yeah, just kind of looking at the energy of that's coming in also. So you did mention that, of course, it's the year of the rabbit, but it is the year of the water rabbit coming in for 2023. And it's just a much gentler energy than we had last year. Last year was a very yang and masculine, big energy. And so this little soft bunny is coming in, a little soft water rabbit is coming in to, I think, bring just a little softer energy, not so harsh. Yeah, before I start here, of course, I'm Candice Berlangas, certified feng shui practitioner, writer and professional with International Feng Shui Guild, and of course, the host of the Learn Feng Shui podcast. And I do talk a lot about this stuff on the podcast. So if you are interested, you can kind of check that out there. One of the things that I love to do is the zodiac sign presentations each year. People really kind of like seeing what their zodiac sign has in store for the year. And this is done by using something called a symbolic star. So this is actually present with the zodiac sign. So even though it's the year of the water rabbit, we're going to kind of isolate the energy and just look at the energy of that zodiac sign. So whether you're a water rabbit or a fire rabbit or an earth rabbit or whatever, we're just looking at the zodiac sign. So we're going to kind of take away that extra bit of information and make it a little bit easier. So what this energy can tell you is what kind of energy is present for you for the year. It can kind of show how the energy supports you for the year. And of course, sometimes there's energies that are not so good or not so positive, but that can also show us what actions we want to take for the year. Basically, you do have 4 different zodiac signs. So most people are familiar with the year they're born. And the year does represent your friend group, your social circle, and your community when we're looking at that kind of the full perspective of your natal chart. But you actually have 4 different animal signs. So you have one for the year you're born, one for the month you're born, one for the day that you're born, and even one for the hour that you're born. And they all kind of represent different things. And so each of these zodiac signs you have, could represent either your friend circle. If it's in the month, it could represent your career or your relationship with your parents. If it's the day you're born, it can represent your health and your romantic relationships. Also the way you kind of view and feel about yourself. And then the hour represents your children, your thoughts, emotions, and feelings. And also if you have like a downline at work or you're the boss, it does represent your subordinates. Check. All you have to do is put your birthday in, and it'll tell you all 4 of your zodiac signs. For some people, the hour is a little bit harder to find because sometimes there's not records, or you just that information just might not be available. But having 3/4 of the information is better than having none of it. So yeah, you can just plug your birthday in, and there is an option if you don't know the hour you're born, and it'll at least give you the other 3 zodiac signs. And you can find that here at this link. So when you pull up your birthday, it will be formatted something like this. And to make the information a little bit easier to look at, we're really isolating the information down and looking at where it says branch or zodiac sign. So for example, this person that I have here, if they were born in November 6th, 2022, this would be an example of their natal chart. And so the year they were born under would be the tiger. And so that would be more of what we would look at when we think about the community around you, your social circle, your friends. This is what we're referring to. So you can take the information and put it in to be relevant in that way. So the month you're born, it does again represent your family relationship with your parents, and also your work and your career. And so this person was born under the animal sign of dog in their month, so that would represent the career and parental relationships to them. And then this person will be born under the zodiac sign of the pig in the day, and so the day they're born would represent their relationship with their spouse, their health, and also the way they relate or see themselves. And then, of course, the hour would be this person maybe was born right at midnight, and so they were born under the hour of the rat. And so the rat to them they would refer to their children and also their thoughts and feelings and emotions if you don't have children. And so it just kind of depends on how we're referencing it, but more so we kind of think of this as our thoughts and feelings. All right, so looking at the zodiac sign of rat. So, and then I kind of put a quick reference here. I won't go over every single one of these, but if you look here, I did note if you were born in the months of December or one of these years or within these hours, that would mean you have a zodiac sign of that's represented, but the day is a little bit harder to find, and so you really do have to go and plot your natal chart out to find which zodiac sign day that you're born under, because the day animal is a little bit harder to it's not a cut and dry one like these are. So it can vary, and even though the months do say like December, November, January, if you're this kind of goes off of a different calendar, just like the Chinese New Year is a different day than the New Year's on the Gregorian calendar, like a traditional Western calendar. The dates vary a little bit. So even though it says December, sometimes the month doesn't actually change until the 4th or even as late as the 7th. So remember that even though if you're born in December, if you're born on December 1st, you'll still be born under a different zodiac sign. So I would really recommend you going to plot your chart to be sure of what your zodiac signs are. So if we're looking at the rat, we're going to start with the rat because it's the very first in the zodiac. I kind of broke this down into what you want to focus on, and then I broke it down into those symbolic stars, which we'll discuss. So for 2023, we want to really focus on the work and money opportunities. If you have a long-term partner, you want to focus on connection and rekindling affection with them. If you're single, you want to focus on a relationship and dating. It could be in your favor, although maybe not a long-term relationship, but it could get you back in the dating pool. And you want to be just ignoring gossip for the year. So the stars that are showing us all this information are all kind of labeled right here. And I broke it down into health, career and finance, and relationships. I think those are the most kind of impactful, the ways these stars kind of impact us. And so for the rat, there's no health concerns really for the year. But for career and finance, there's some really good opportunities with the stars called Prosperity Star, which is a money-making opportunity. It shows that you could have a financial gain this year. And Heavenly Virtue, which does represent turning negative into positive. So even if you feel like you've had something negative happen or you've had some setbacks, that Heavenly Virtue really is going to come in for the year, and you'll notice that it's something that may seem negative initially will turn into a positive. And then I say, of course, to ignore gossip because within the workplace, it could represent there's some gossip. So we want to steer clear of that and stay in our own lane as we do. And of course, that could translate into a relationship. So you could possibly see that also in a relationship or your friendships, and it could impact that. So again, just stay away from gossip this year. For relationships, looking at the energy of what is called the red matchmaker, it does speak to like attraction and kind of like your charisma for the year. So people might find you more attractive. They may be more attracted to you. But the presence of this energy called the salty pool, it does represent that maybe it's maybe you'll see more people flirting with you or that flirty kind of energy. Maybe you'll get more attention from somebody that's interested in you romantically, but it does also represent a short-term fling. And hence why we kind of, we talk about, um, focusing that attention and connection on a partner rather than somebody outside of your relationship. So we want to make sure we're cultivating and nurturing our relationships that we have if you're born under the sign of the rat. All right. And so if you're born under the zodiac sign of the ox, your focus for 2023 is going to be remaining calm and watching your reactions, being mindful of investments and beware of scams. So staying out of gossip and being mindful of your words is going to be a big thing for you. So looking at the energy here, health, the energy probably will not affect your health very much, but looking here and kind of looking down here at this relationship, sometimes that peeling head does represent an elderly person in your household, maybe falling ill and you're having to take care of them, or you're just having to take some time off to take care of a friend. You're kind of being a little more nurturing. It kind of represents that nurturing energy, which in and of itself is kind of present with the ox anyway. So suspended guests and skydog does kind of speak to avoiding funerals and hospital visits, but sometimes that is a little bit of a superstition. And so it used to be back in the day that if you went to a funeral, you could pick up a disease or something that wasn't clean, and either were hospitals. So that one I would kind of take with a grain of salt. But looking here at career, you don't want to be offending your coworkers because that leopard tail, it's like literally stepping on the tail of a tiger. And so you want to make sure that you're not offending people. And then just overall, generally making mistakes. And it could even represent being scammed. You want to make sure that you're not giving information to anybody you shouldn't be or anybody you don't trust this year. And then the monthly killing star just represents some pettiness. So sometimes in a workplace, we all kind of, experience that, but really it's in the way we handle it. So if that energy is present, you may experience that this year. And then, of course, if we look at what that would translate into with relationships, being petty in a relationship, or if we look at that leopard tail energy, could represent you being offended or offending your significant other. So just be a little bit more compassionate this year, or being a little bit more understanding can really help. And you don't have to be petty all the time. So taking away some of that petty energy, okay? All right, so the tiger. So we're just coming out of the year of the tiger, and tigers last year, just kind of depending on how that fell in your natal chart, may have had a little bit of a stressful year. So your focus for 2023, you have a lot, you have some pretty good energies coming in. So problem solving energies. Make sure you're doing your fact checking and checking the quality of your work, protecting your identity, and looking at long-term investments rather than short-term. So looking at the energy here is you do have a Cygnus charm and the surpassing path, which both do speak to your health. And so Cygnus charm does represent, maybe you tend to get ill this year, or you just tend to kind of feel run down and sick. If you do have an underlying condition, it's a good year to get that treated. You don't want it to get worse, Surpassing path is more of a mental health and it kind of affects you in that way where you just feel more stressed out and you start second guessing your decisions. So kind of looking at what that means for career and finance. Also, maybe you get in a relationship or you're already in a relationship and you kind of second guess, you're perfectly happy, but then all of a sudden you kind of think like, I don't know if this is the right person, and same with your job. You could be, have a pretty good job or whatever. You're feeling pretty good about it. And then all of a sudden you just think, what if you're doing the wrong thing? So don't second guess yourself this year. Make sure you're cruising along, okay? So Heavenly Officer does represent making mistakes or misplacing documents. And it could just be that you maybe are offensive to others. So again, kind of watching your words and then being really diligent about your filing, where you're placing your documents. If you're traveling, do make sure you keep your passport and your ID and everything close to you so you don't lose that. The death god does represent it's some of these kind of sound worse than they are, but this is more about the investing side of things. So looking at uh, investments in a short term, say it's kind of like the crypto this year, right? We all thought it was pretty good, but then it just tanked. And so this death god could represent that you have lower future projections on investments. So longer term investments for the year would be more favorable to you. But you do also have the golden carriage, which does represent a financial opportunity. And it also represents in terms of relationship, it represents taking your relationship to the next level. So if you are in a serious relationship, perhaps you are looking to move in together or get married, but it does represent the next step in a relationship. Right. So here we have the rabbit coming in. And of course, we're coming into 2023, the year of the rabbit. And your focus for you for the year is going to be career. Honesty is going to be the best policy for the year. You do need to make sure you take care of your mental health and stay away from physical risk taking. No extreme sports this year for the rabbit because of the energy of the sword edge. So the sword edge does represent a physical injury. And so honestly, a way to avoid this is really just avoiding risky sports and activities. If you have weak ankles, put your ankle braces on, things like that. So, you don't have to overdo it or overthink it, but do be cautious when you're doing sports or physical activity. And of course, I think I forgot to put that in here too. If you do a job that requires physical activity, make sure you're wearing all of your safety equipment. So the sky cry does represent you feeling a little bit sad. Again, it affects more of your mental health. But with the presence of the hidden corpse, sometimes it can represent you maybe learning something that you would, just rather not have known, because this hidden corpse does represent that maybe like a skeleton in the closet, something that was hidden from you. But now with the sky cry here, you learn about it. Maybe something is revealed to you that you just really didn't want to know. Honestly, we've all had our secrets, and I think just kind of, dealing with that and facing things head on. And also you yourself just owning up to any past mistakes or anything will be good for you because it'll probably be revealed anyway. So the golden lock, it does represent storing money, and it's kind of like a storage house of money. So it does represent, like a savings account, or you have deals or clients that are kind of in the pipeline. Maybe you send out a bunch of invoices at one time, but it does represent, that storing of money. And then let's see here, Intelligence Star. It's a really good year for you to start a new study or learn a new skill, a new field of study. And then, of course, the year of the rabbit is coming on. And so you get what's called Duke's Arrival or the Grand Duke. And it's really like a all eyes on you type of thing. So it really can be used to showcase your talents this year, especially if you are more in the public eye.
Let me ask you something, Candice.
Yes.
I've heard that when it's your animal year, that it's not really good, or you should try to avoid it, or there's a lot of lessons learned that year. Have you heard anything like that?
So yes, some practitioners will say that it's a good year to lay low because of this energy here. Really, it's the Grand Duke energy, because it's almost like a thing where all eyes are on you. People are, seeing you more. And so to me, I feel like you can use it if it's a energy that you've already been building up to. You have a good kind of karma, as it were. You've been cultivating good things in your life. And so then I think it really is a year where you can be seen and you can showcase that talent. So it just kind of depends on how you use it. So maybe if you've been, this hidden corpse, maybe sometimes can, that is what can kind of come in sometimes and make it a year where it's like, you don't want people to know things about you. But if you're showcasing good talents and you've been putting in work that's been really good, then it's a good year for you to be in the public eye and be seen more. But it does kind of sometimes represent you coming under scrutiny a little bit more.
Is that for like all animal signs when it comes down to their year?
Yeah, and even the month. So even the month, everybody gets it at least once a year. So that's always my warning. If you see that zodiac sign, it's just an all eyes on you type situation, and it can be stressful for some people.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, if you're doing things that you don't want people to see and everyone sees you, then it's not a good thing.
That's okay. That sounds better than like avoiding a year. It's like lay low, it's bad luck. That sounds so much better.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to the laying low bad luck. I think we
Yeah.
can use all the energy that's given to us. And that's kind of why I don't break it down to like good and bad. I know some people would be like, oh, here's the good stars, and here's the bad stars. But I feel like they can all be used if we're using them in a specific way. Like some of these, like there's this hidden corpse, but or sky cry. If we know that we're going to feel, it could be a year where you feel a little bit sadder or you feel more depressed or something, then it's really okay, but you just can recognize that's the energy for the year and you can navigate it a little bit better.
If you're feeling a lot of emotions, I say just let it out because it is coming up and it's coming out.
All right, so here we come up on the dragon. So for your focus for 2023, if you have a dragon in your zodiac, it'd be a career advancement, accepting and recognizing help when you see it, finding inner strength, staying positive, and also staying active. So the reason I talk about staying active is really because of this energy called bad chi. And so it won't make you sick, but it will make you feel a little bit sluggish, maybe tired, you feel like you don't feel like doing things. So we want to make sure that we kind of combat that just by staying active. And really remember activity is good also for mental health. And you do have these two energies coming in, both the yin killing star and sky emptiness, which does kind of focus on like that mental fog, the inability to focus, kind of being forgetful in general. And again, a way to combat that is just to kind of stay active and keep your mind focused on other things. One of my favorite stars is present with the dragon. It's called the sun star. So this does represent a problem solving energy. So if you do feel like you are faced with issues this year, it's kind of like the energy of turning the negative into positive. But one thing that the Sun Star does is it sheds light on your problems. And so it's a problem solving that is able to bring problems out in the open and deal with them head on. So if you've been having any issues in your job or your relationship, it really does act to help solve issues and bring everything out into the open. Let's see here. And the pummeled saddle does represent business advancement. So if you've been working on anything in your career, remember the energy is to focus on career advancement and staying positive and find that inner strength. And so there's not a ton of stars, especially like really good stars with the dragon. But again, if we focus on what we can control, kind of what we just talked about, focus on what good energy can I really lean into this year? Lean into these two here, lean into your work, especially if you have problems in other things. Focus on work, you'll never go wrong, right? So that's what I say. And of course, you will have that sun star, which is again that problem solving. So if you feel like you've come against something that feels big for you this year, it's even with this mental health issues, there's definitely help available. All right, for the snake. So if you're born in May here, the snake for 2023, watch your expenditures. It's a good year for you to expand your market. It's a good year to travel, and you really do, again, mental health is a big thing, I think. And a lot of these stars do actually focus on the mental health. Again, looking at these two stars, Flying Chase Star and Solitary and Funeral Door. So Solitary really does represent you kind of just feeling lonely. So Flying Chase Star does represent you feeling fear and anxiety. And then the funeral door, it's not necessarily a funeral or losing a loved one, but it could be the ending of something that you feel like you're mourning, if that makes sense. So again, just kind of focusing on the mental health. And again, you do have some really good energy here with the Heavenly Noble. So that does represent having help when you need it. So it represents people coming in and kind of being helpful to you. So even though you feel alone, you will still have the energy supporting you. The thing we need to watch with expenditure really is this energy called the Broken Star and the Great Killing Star. So these could kind of impact your finances, representing things breaking or you need to replace things around your home, and just think of it as a chance to upgrade. So the Great Killing Star does represent you calculating your expenses incorrectly. So maybe you overestimate your earnings and you spend money before you get paid and stuff like that. So you really watch that this year. And of course, the sky horse does represent traveling, expanding your business, or just a lot of movement going on in your life. So a lot of things kind of snowballing and happening all at once. And again, some of this energy, since that is the energy, again, it could represent an ending to something, a relationship, friendships, whatever. And of course, with the solitary star, you might just feel like you're left out. So invite yourself to things or make some new friends this year, okay? That'd be my big suggestion. All right, halfway through here. Here is the horse. So your focus for 2023 is finding investors and support, taking your relationship to the next level, looking and focusing on the quality of your work and enjoying your wins. So nothing big, no red flags in the health for you for the horse. So career and finance, the moon noble does represent also another problem-solving energy. So whereas the dragon has the sun noble, that represents getting issues out and it's like laying everything on the table and getting it out there and solving the problem, right? The moon noble does represent a feminine energy of problem solving. So it's almost like a thing where you take somebody aside and you're real quiet about like, okay, I'm kind of sweeping under the table. Let's deal with it real privately and quietly. And so it's just a quiet way of solving problems. The hook spirit, that does represent the quality of your work. So if we're looking at, making sure that your quality is there, because sometimes maybe misrepresenting or kind of being mistaken about what you're offering somebody and it's not what they expect. So also the piercing rope does kind of speak to the quality of your work and also tact. So if you have any customer complaints or any client complaints, really be open to receiving that as positive feedback, as constructive criticism, and really kind of lean into that and be tactful about the way you respond to any customer complaints or issues. The sky happiness represents happiness, events, celebrations, and of course, again, that if you're taking a relationship to the next level, maybe it represents you getting married this year, but generally it does represent the events of like weddings, births, the happy occasion that you celebrate. All right, so now here we come across. So these terms are kind of interchangeable. Some people call it the sheep, people call it the goat. It's like a horned, horned ram or animal. So your focus for 2023 is going to be promotion and recognition, confidence, beware of that imposter syndrome. And if we look at, you need to focus on the details, legal and work-related details is going to be super impactful to you this year. So the one thing you need to watch is the instability star. And so again, a lot of these are more of the way we're thinking and feeling. And so this has a little bit of a psychological effect, and it is that imposter syndrome. Be careful not to self-sabotage when we feel this way. Things are going too good. It shouldn't be going this good. So no, you have worked hard and you deserve it. So enjoy the things that are coming to you, especially career-wise for the sheep or goat, because you have some really good energy that could represent career advancement and a raise. So here you have 8 seats and 3 stages, which both speak to being promoted or having some career advancement. You also have the elegant seal, which does represent learning a new skill. And with you learning a new skill, perhaps you're getting some job, on the job training that is going to get you a promotion. So they kind of go hand in hand there. And then, of course, the sky really is a problem-solving energy. So you have a lot of really good things working for you. Again, with this star here, this Tang Fu star represents getting money or getting a raise, and that could come again as a result of you getting your promotion. The one thing you do need to be careful is this litigation in your charm. So this does talk about double checking work and, of course, finances with the implication of litigation that does represent if you make a mistake, there could be some legal action taken. So you really want to make sure you're double checking your work and you're looking at everything really carefully, especially things like your taxes and, especially when doing work for other people, where they could be fined if something is wrong. So really be diligent in your work this year. All right, the monkey. So for 2023, your focus is going to be problem solving, exposure for your business, and for you personally. So expenditures. So watch for hidden fees and expenses that add up, and be careful with your identity this year. So no red flags in terms of health. So career and finance, looking at the energy called the heavenly virtue does bring nobleman luck, which brings helpful people into your life. So you'll have a lot of support this year. The national treasure is one of my favorite stars. It does represent career like recognition, and it represents a pay upgrade. So could find some additional money there with that recognition. The small consumer does represent things breaking or things adding up. Perhaps you, much like the energy of the snake where things break and you have to buy new things, it's kind of that same energy. You might not be aware of how much you spent. So do be careful about spending. And here I put things like 0% interest terms because maybe you take out a loan on it's 0% interest for a certain amount of time, but you're not able to pay it back within the term. And then, of course, you have to pay interest. So little fees like that can add up or get you in the end. So the one thing you do need to watch too is the robbery star, which does signal you need to do identity protection and research before spending money with companies you don't know or doing business with people you don't know. And just beware of scams for this year. So if you focus on that, you could be able to, avoid all that and protect your identity. Okay.
I want to add on about the things breaking, like when even in the crystal world or any items that we have, when it starts breaking, that means its work is done. So that could be also be a sign to let go of old, right? Things will naturally break when they're not matching your vibration anymore. So let go of the old so the new can enter.
Yes, exactly. That's very well said. Same for the snake too. I kind of think of it as, maybe old things are broken, you need to upgrade. So maybe it's upgrade time.
Exactly, upgrade.
Yes, looking out the rooster, almost there. So your focus for 2023 is going to be watching your words, taking care of your finances, moving forward, staying positive despite apparent setbacks, being cautious of travel, and creating change. So we all know that, or maybe you don't know, you're not aware that just like when a rabbit, sign sees a rabbit for the year or for the month, they get that Grand Duke energy. So the zodiac sign that directly sits in opposition energetically will be known as the year breaker or the soy po. And so this rooster energy is the year breaker for the year. And so one of the ways we can kind of combat that again is really just creating change. So the only thing, I feel like a lot of people worry about this energy. What is, this clashing energy is usually called a clashing energy. What does it mean? And it just means there can be change. So if you are the one to create change, you can kind of offset that energy and you can be the one to decide how your year goes. Remember, we're not victims of the energy, rather we can use this energy as an indication of how to make our year really good. So first, with the health, you really do need to be cautious of this calamity star, which can represent an injury or being injured. Again, just take all the safety precautions. Excuse me. As I'm saying this, I can't breathe. So if you are born under the sign of the metal rooster, but even just the rooster in general is the zodiac sign of, it's the element, of metal. And so this year, you really do have to be cautious of breathing issues, skin issues, and allergies, because all of those are represented by the element of metal. And of course, if we see that clashing energy there can be, a clash in some of that energy within our body too. So much like the monkey watching spending, however, sometimes this greater consumer star comes in, and it just represents us just shopping too much, but even planning large purchases can kind of offset that too. So if you're thinking about buying, large appliances this year, buying a new car, or if you need a, you're planning on buying a new home, that could be the large purchase, or even doing major renovations, putting money into that and planning where your money is going to go. Because if you don't, it's one of those things where things could break, especially large appliances, large things, and you might end up spending the money anyway. So if you plan it, then you are one step ahead. So the obstacle star does represent just running into issues this year. Again, just kind of being flexible and looking at, how you can really do some problem solving is the best way to focus. Though there's two zodiac signs that need to be cautious of traveling this year. So with the calamity shawl, it does represent getting caught in natural disasters while traveling. And so if you are traveling to somewhere you've never traveled to before, do make sure that you're, not getting stuck in a hurricane or a tornado, or you're not going during one of those really bad weather seasons. So we need to be cautious of that. And then almost there with the zodiac sign of dog. So the zodiac sign of dog, the focus this year is accepting help from others, being a leader, being a creative with solutions, being flexible, picking your battles, and effective communication. So you have a couple different stars that represent, it's almost like a physical aggression, like you just feel more confrontational or more aggressive than usual, which is the annual killing and the dark sky and yellow flag. So again, those are all just kind of representative of, hopefully you hear all the background noise. These are all just kind of representative of being physically aggressive and just being really confrontational. So do be careful of that. Again, just kind of looking and maybe breaking that down and communicating rather than being reflexive in our communication is going to really benefit you in a couple different ways this year. A lot of these kind of show a communication. So communicating clearly and delivering what's expected, being honest and realistic about work and time delays. Again, that kind of goes into communication, because with these other stars here, it could represent you being more again, not so much aggressive, but more combative, like and not really being open about, again, these just work delays in time. So if things are going to set you back in time, or if you're not working on schedule, make sure you communicate that. That way you don't start getting in, fights with people, especially about work and stuff like that. Because this brutal defeat star does represent setbacks. So really being flexible on setbacks, and again, just being open with the communication and saying like, hey, it's taking longer than expected, and just having delays, just that simple thing could, kill those communication issues. The dragon virtue does represent taking action. So even though you have this brutal defeat here, you may feel more inclined this year to take action and to step up and to work through those issues. Because remember, our life is not problem free. It's not ever going to be problem free. But when we're able to solve issues and use energies like this, the Emperor Star and Dragon Virtue, asking for help when we need it, then we're able to then solve our issues, solve our problems, and better our lives, I think. Let's see here. So the pig, this is another one that we'll have to be careful about travel. So looking at health, starting a new health regimen, just starting to exercise, eating better, empathy, considering others' feelings, being flexible, picking your battles, and increase your awareness. So, so your health here is the white tiger does represent being able to choose treatment for health issues. So if you've had any underlying health issues, again, it's a good year for you to go to the doctor and to face those issues head on. Okay. So earth killing does represent, that's the travel warning. So being aware of surroundings and avoiding dangerous areas or extreme physical sports. And of course, if you have a job that does require safety equipment, make sure you follow all those rules and follow safety protocol. And it could represent also, excuse me, it could also represent just delays also, and delays when you're traveling. So being flexible about that. Here, the kitchen, the Heaven Kitchen Star does represent resources being available to you and things working out despite challenges. And literally, I do believe it means you can actually learn to cook this year. So Sky Warrior, let's see here, may make you appear aggressive to achieve your goal and give credit to others for their ideas. So don't be so aggressive that you're stealing people's ideas or you take credit for something that's not yours in an attempt to further your career or further your finances. So do be careful about doing that. And then the back poking star does represent being drawn into arguments involving others. So I put this in relationships here because you do want to make sure that, especially with your partner, that you're not being drawn into arguments involving other people, and then that in turn then gets you and your partner fighting. So you don't want to do that. And of course, this white tiger just also does speak a little bit to also an increased aggression. So just being a little bit softer with your spouse this year, being a little bit more flexible could offset some of the aggressive feelings. So again, just avoid travel during known bad weather months and expect delays. So if you're born on a zodiac sign of pig, just expect there may be some delays if you travel this year. And of course, if you need a personal reading, you can do all the things and follow all the links.
Yeah, so that was quite an episode. Thank you, Candice, for going over all the animals assigned signs too. Everyone who's tuning in, take this with a grain of salt. Like, observe the energy, right? So even with all the animal signs that we went over, it's interesting to observe like the people in your surrounding, your family, the ones you're connected to, how much they represent the energy. I can already see that already happening in my circle, how their energy is reacting before I even saw this presentation. So I mean, it's something's happening energetically. So this is a good forecast to kind of get a feel of what the energy is going to be like for the year. But take it with a grain of salt. Follow your intuition. I would say that is important too. And if you want to do specific readings, feel free to reach out to Candice. He is really good at the energies of the year too. And also, what's it called? Date selection. Okay, so Candice, all information I'll put in the description below. Other than that, do you have anything else for us, Candice?
Probably just kind of echoing what you're saying. Of course, we all have energies that come in. It's only a small fraction of the energy that we kind of take into account. And it's a kind of a fun way to look at what energies can be affecting us. But there's a lot of other things that come into play, just kind of looking at that whole natal chart, like all that information on there. There's a lot of things that come into play. So, yeah, again, just kind of not taking it too seriously and focusing on what we can control and how we can kind of manage the energy, I think is the best thing we can do when we look at these forecasts.
Right, it gets very specific on your natal chart. So if you want to do a reading, reach out to Candice. Other than that, I'm going to wrap up this episode. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Candice, for being here. And we'll see you for another episode. Bye, Candice. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.